GM Resorts NBA Summer League 2018 in the steamy Las Vegas.
Yes,
They go
it is.
Marv Albert style. The San Antonio Spurs and Milwaukee Bucks here at Cox Pavilion. I'm Kristen Ledlow alongside our Stu Jackson. We've got our third broadcaster, Jared Greenberg, on the sidelines. I forgot to mention him yesterday, and he was not happy about that. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump in first thing and introduce him. But we've got a couple of exciting matchups, and I know the fans are most excited to see some of these promising rookies. Let's go first with Dante DiVincenzo, because this is a guy that was picked 17th overall by the Milwaukee Bucks, and the last time we saw him was doing what he did in the NCAA tournament. Stu, what are your expectations for Dante's transition to the NBA?
Well, it'll be interesting. Number one, the fact that he's playing his first NBA game today, you have to believe that there's some butterflies in him. But again, we've seen him play in big ball games before, and I have no doubt that he'll play extremely well.
What is it about his game that you think will translate well to the professional league?
What's interesting, I've had a chance to watch him intimately for the past 2 years, and even during his redshirt year as part of the Big East Conference, of which I'm a part of. And listen, this is a guy that never really was a starter at Villanova, but he came off the bench and did a variety of different things. He can shoot the ball. He can play pick and roll. He's a good team defender. He's a very vocal leader. I think you'll see a guy out here with a lot of energy, a lot of passion that'll translate to his teammates.
Do you notice that those are the things that stand out in Summer League, that those are the kind of intangibles that you think stand out amongst those that will make it in the NBA?
Well, certainly it helps. I think any NBA player, when you come in young, you have to believe that you're good. And what I mean is you have to carry yourself with a certain confidence level that translate into your game. And you take it with you every day, whether it's in practice, whether you're in your skill development sessions, the willingness and wantingness to get better, the wantingness and willingness to be a player. And I think that mindset is very important to carry over.
Meanwhile, the San Antonio Spurs selected Lonnie Walker 18th overall from Miami. He said right after being drafted it was time to work. It's time to prove everyone wrong. I know I'm in the right place at the right time to become something special. What is it about him that is special?
Well, it's a little bit of a tale of two different players with he and Dante. Dante, a little bit more experience, 3 years in college, 2 years on the floor. Lonnie Walker, a one-and-done type player. He's got a great deal of talent with the basketball, extreme athleticism that could translate as he begins to develop as the San Antonio Spurs into perhaps a future star in this league.
Milwaukee Bucks with the first possession. Brown looking to create offensively, drives, can't get it to go, but gets his own rebound and put back.
Sterling Brown is coming off an outstanding game. At 6'6", 230, very strong body, can do a lot of different things, and has played well in this summer league.
Bucks with the rebound off the miss.
In these games, Kristen, that actually means something. The winner moves on into the winner's bracket, the loser into the consolation bracket. It's a little bit more on the line here for some of these players. And, they'll play team basketball. Dante takes his first shot there, a little one-hand floater, it misses. But we'll have to keep an eye on how he progresses and bounce back, and particularly in his shot selection and how he gets himself going here.
What is it that you think is going through his mind as he makes a professional debut?
Well, Kristen, you can't describe in words. Here you are, it's Summer League. It's not the real NBA, but it's his first taste of being with guys that he now considers his peers, and he wants to show well. As an NBA player, you're always trying to develop that level of respect, and this is the first step for Dante.
Trice trying to avoid the double team, drives inside, kicks out to DiVincenzo, back to Brown. He'll pull it. The Bucks with another chance. Spurs with the rebound off the miss.
Well, it's interesting now, the Bucks, you don't want to start out the beginning of a game where something matters, taking a lot of jump shots. You want to get yourself going by getting penetration into the paint or inserting the basketball into the post. Here's Lonnie Walker's first shot. A good shot, catch and shoot. just happens to be a little bit off to the side. That's one of the areas that Lonnie will have to continue to work on in terms of his consistency, and that is the ability to catch and shoot and knock down three-point shots.
The Bucks have opened 2 of 6 from the field. There's their 7th field goal attempt as Hanlon takes it the other way. Trey McKinney-Jones. He played 36 games this year with the Fort Wayne Mad Ants, and a lot of these guys have that G League experience. What do you think is the biggest difference between those guys who have had that professional experience as opposed to some of these rookies?
Well, when you're in the G League, you're playing at a slightly higher level than you are in the NCAA in college. And further to that, you have an opportunity to integrate yourself into an NBA team system. Try to understand how you get shots offensively, what the defensive scheme is, and just that years of experience against better competition is beneficial for you.
There's Sterling Brown with 3 more. He was selected 46th overall by Philadelphia in the 2017 draft, then traded to Milwaukee. What is it that you think that he could bring to this franchise?
Well, in Sterling, what you're getting is you're getting somebody who has good size, at the guard spot, or he's a wing, I guess, in today's game. As I said, 6'6", 230, you can see how strong his body is. He has the ability to get his own shot, very good, catch and shoot player. And, again, another young player that's just trying to develop and become a mainstay in an NBA roster.
Hanlon to Blossom Game inside.
Yeah, Blossom Game's been playing well here in Las Vegas. Just missed that little easy shot.
Again, another guy, though, with G League experience. We'll have a whole lot more coming back as the Milwaukee Bucks jump out to an early 10-4 lead and a 6-0 run thus far in the first. Bucks take a 10-4 lead here in the first quarter. Spurs GM R.C. Buford, who actually thought that Lonnie Walker was ranked significantly higher, said that he was excited that he was available and excited about what he could potentially bring to this franchise.
Yeah, without question. I think many thought that Lonnie Walker would go at the back end of the lottery, somewhere 10-14. There were some rumors, Kristen, floating around about a potential injury or a problem with his medical. But I think for the young man, Lonnie Walker, here's a guy that, a one-and-done player probably went to the right organization. That's R.C. Buford's organization, with the Spurs, who has historically done a great job of player development.
The Spurs, they're able to interrupt what was a Bucks 8-0 run. It's been a very balanced, though, scoring effort thus far, Stu. 5 points from Sterling Brown, but 3 more from DJ Wilson, Christian Wood with a couple as well. These guys have been moving the ball early on. Yeah, and it stands out. They are owning the backboard here early on against the Spurs. Another key factor in any game is the three-point shot. They've already made 2 3-point shots, so dominating the backboard, making shots, that's what translates into wins here. We are still waiting to see Dante's first bucket. Just 1 attempt thus far. What is it, though, that you think would help maybe shake some of these nerves in a professional debut? Well, if I'm the Bucks coaching staff and I want to get Dante off, so to speak, I want to try to get him something going north and south, to the rim, not a jump shot, not something off a dribble, but something where he has an opportunity to create a play for himself or someone else. He's on the bench now. Milwaukee foul number 23, Sterling Brown. Spurs keep possession. Second team foul on the Bucks. Olivier Hanlon on the inbounds. He spent last season with the Austin Spurs, their G League affiliate. Amida Rima. Well, that's the type of thing you got to get if you're the Spurs. That's that right there, right. You're not shooting the ball extremely well. Get things off the backboard, offensive rebounding, get yourself going in this game again. All right, Kristen, I have to give you introduced Jared early. I got to give a shout out here to Lonnie Walker. Oh, all right. In Reading, Pennsylvania High School. I had a feeling you were going to bring it up. Yeah, you did. You knew that. We talked about this. My hometown. We talked about this. Our pride and joy, Lonnie Walker IV. So, I mean, promising things then, but he can't obviously be the first success story from there because look at you. Christian Wood throwing it down.
No, I only get better with time in Reading, Pennsylvania. He's the greatest player that's ever come out of Reading.
Oh, I like that. But you're like the red wine of Reading.
Yeah.
The Reading wine.
And Danielle Marshall.
Oh, yeah.
Another Reading High School.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Walker, again, looking to create. He'll kick it out. Hanlon pulls up for three. He'll knock it down.
It's funny there with Walker. I like the fact he made the extra play. You know, he passed up a 17-footer for a wide-open three. I would have liked to have seen him finish that easy 17-footer.
Trice blocked by Brima.
Yeah, Brima has had an impact on the game here early.
Yeah. Let's take a look, though, at this dunk by Christian Wood. I mean, come on.
Bringing
well
the
defended.
wood. Christian Wood.
Whoa. I always love it with the sound on.
Yeah.
That way you really get the entirety of the emotion.
You know, Christian Wood's a guy, too. You know, he's averaging 16 points a game here. He's played 95 games the past 2 years in the G League. I mean, he's one of those guys that's really on the fringe of being an NBA roster player.
Do you find it most impressive, guys like that, who not only are averaging 16 points, but 9 rebounds as well? Guys who find ways to contribute offensively despite their scoring ability?
Well, yeah, he's averaging 9 rebounds, shooting 50% from the field. That means he's taking good shots, looking for good shots. He's a solid fringe NBA player who, you know, he's a guy that just needs to stay in the development phase until he gets there.
Hanlon with a couple of more, and the Spurs are now back in this. A 1-point game here with 3:42 to go in the first.
Summer League team by 1 early in the first quarter here. And the big story is the Spurs regular season team and whether Kawhi Leonard will still be a part of that team when the Spurs open up the 18-19 campaign, in which he has 1 year left on his contract. Well, we showed you R.C. Buford in the stands earlier. He is the Spurs general manager. Spurs president and head coach Greg Popovich not here in Las Vegas, but he will be in a couple of weeks for USA Basketball's minicamp as they get ready for World Cup qualifying play. Now, in terms of Kawhi, he was spotted last night at Las Vegas in a club here in Vegas. We've not seen him. We doubt he is going to be here at Cox Pavilion. But here's an interesting note. Since we are in Vegas and there's so much about gambling these days, OddsShark, who has odds on where Kawhi Leonard will end up next season, has now the Toronto Raptors as the favorite to acquire Kawhi Leonard. The second best odds are the Spurs, that he remains a part of R.C. Buford's squad. Several other teams in the running here, but guys, it is an interesting situation for a team that is not really in the spotlight unless you're talking about them winning championships.
Yeah. Well,
it is interesting.
It's very interesting. I think what's really interesting is his being rumored to go to the Toronto Raptors. I mean, it just, what we've heard over and over is the possibility of wanting to return back near his home in Southern California. But it sounds like he may opt for being with a friend from Southern California, and that is DeMar DeRozan.
Right.
Which would be interesting, to say the
Jared,
least.
though, did bring up the fact that Coach Pop is, of course, not here right now. He could be here, will be here later with Team USA in Las Vegas. But, Jared, with 2:34 left in the first quarter, you do realize in a regular season game this would be your moment to talk to Coach Pop, considering the Spurs are the visiting team. Any Vegas odds on how many words he may give you in this 1-point game?
Well, in the words of Shaquille O'Neal to Charles Barkley, Google me, Kristen, and I think you'll find the answer on that.
What, do you have a beard now?
It's a confident young man, that Jared Greenberg.
That he is. Speaking of confidence, Lonnie Walker headed the other way, out to Ledbetter.
No, but you guys mentioned the Raptors, and, you know, I spoke with people in the Raptors organization throughout the course of the year, not even when we thought Kawhi Leonard would possibly be on the trade block. And I think there was interest, but not from the standpoint of, oh, yeah, we got to go out and get that guy. I think that, you know, what we're all missing in this story, and maybe because it's oversimplistic, is Kawhi Leonard, when healthy, if healthy, is a top 5 talent in this league. And I think all 29 teams will pick up the phone if they feel like they've got what it takes to have a serious conversation with R.C. Buford about acquiring Kawhi.
Well, Jared, as you know, not everybody does have the wherewithal to actually have a serious conversation, but the Toronto Raptors actually have the assets to have a serious conversation with the Spurs. When you look at the fact that they have one of the best young benches in the NBA, aside from the fact they've got bigs, they've got backcourt players, young, growing, athletic players. So they can have that conversation, and I would think that the Spurs would listen. But, you know, Kristen, I always look at Greg Popovich as not only a great coach, but he really is a relationship guy. And
just not as much with Jared.
Just not much with Jared or any sideline reporter.
But
with
that
his
extends
players.
to front offices, and it extends to front offices here too. Stu, when he's making a deal, he likes to make a deal. From what we've seen in the past, the Spurs have not made very many trades. They make trades typically with front offices they're comfortable with. And you look around the league and you look who's got people that have worked with Pop or has a relationship. Philadelphia, Brett Brown overseeing the basketball operations department. Dennis Lindsay in Utah. That may come into play here.
Well, and let's not forget, though, Jared, let's not forget R.C. Buford and Masai Ujiri, go way back, from their days with Basketball Without Borders. They're very close, and although Masai was not part of the Spurs organization, there's a certain respect and a certain trust between those two people where I wouldn't be surprised if a deal actually happened.
Are you surprised that one hasn't happened yet? It's been a while since he requested this trade. Are you surprised that they have not granted this trade request?
Well, San Antonio's not in a position where they need to panic now. Certainly, if they're going to execute a trade, the amount of leverage they have today is greater than it will be once the season starts or closer to the deadline, assuming that Popovich and Kawhi can't repair their relationship. So it's still the summer. But when you start to get into the regular season, and if Kawhi is still of the mind that he wants to be traded, then the Spurs have to consider the financial impact and asset value of a great asset and whether or not their leverage is dwindling.
Do you think that he would consider sitting out if he were not yet traded the same way that he did this past season?
I don't see that happen. I don't think that would be prudent for Kawhi. He's already basically sat out one season already, but to now sit out two, even as great a player as he is, it will have an impact on his game.
It's the end of the first quarter. The Milwaukee Bucks have a 5-point lead, 18-13. DJ Wilson leads the way with 7 points thus far. We'll be back with the second quarter next. Resorts NBA Summer League as the Milwaukee Bucks take a 5-point lead at the end of the first quarter, 18-13 at the start of the second. Our Jared Greenberg is standing by with Milwaukee Bucks president Peter Fakin.
Yeah, an exciting man here because there's a lot happening in Milwaukee. Got a great Summer League squad in front of us, but back at home, there's a lot of doings here with a brand new facility being built and getting ready for this upcoming season. Peter, you and I have talked a lot about how much Giannis Antetokounmpo has meant to this franchise. How much does it mean to Milwaukee and to the NBA to have this unbelievable facility getting ready to open up?
Well, I think it's all part of the transformation. So we've talked about Giannis being that accelerant for change. I mean, to have a physical plant now that's the best of the best in the world is like a real statement.
So we're going to show in a couple of moments here. I want our viewers to really get locked into some really cool footage that you sent us. That this building is going to be unlike most we've seen in the NBA, and the ability for the fan to really get an experience no matter where they are in the building.
Right, it's all about experiential. So we took our friends from Brooklyn, Sacramento, and Orlando who have built new arenas in the last 5 to 7 years and kind of took best practices, created an open concourse arena, and it'll really be special. Everything from the zinc-clad exterior to the windows. This is a transparent experience. If you can see it in the arena, you can get to it. It's a pretty amazing place.
Yeah, we're told it's 10,000 seats just in the lower bowl, which is a lot for an NBA venue. So no matter where you are, you're going to have a pretty good vantage point of one of the bright young stars in this league.
Yeah, I mean, we call it intimate and cozy. I mean, this is a great place to watch an NBA game.
Well, hopefully the heat works because you need it there in Milwaukee in the winter too, right? What is it about Giannis? I mean, I think America has gotten to see him on the court. We got to see him in that great 60 Minutes piece, get to know him a little more. But what is it about him that makes him such a special asset for you guys?
Well, I think on the court it's pretty easy. I tell everybody who I make become a Bucks fan, just watch a game. The one time a game, Giannis will do something that just literally like makes you just go, wow. He's the same as a person. I think in those two things together just make him one of those really special players, athletes, leaders that, will continue to evolve in the league.
Peter, when you have the coaching vacancy, I can't tell you how many different coaches that I spoke with that either had jobs or wanted to be a head coach, all wanted your job, which, no offense, most people aren't thinking about the Milwaukee Bucks typically, but because of Giannis, everybody wanted that job. Did you get that sense? Did you get the fact that now you're a destination because of the player you have on your roster?
Yeah, I think it's all about stars, right? And so when you build that nucleus, and Chris Middleton and the promise of Bledsoe, and we've got a Rookie of the Year in Malcolm Brogdon, you've got this nucleus of a young, smart, great team that can win. So coaches, aspirational coaches see that and they say, I'll take that. And we lucked out with Bud. I mean, Mike is a fantastic coach. I think his system, his process, like how we're attacking the season is going to be a special season.
Yeah, we were talking about the Spurs organization before, and you just mentioned how you took a little bit from other organizations about building an arena. Coach Budenholzer's experience in transforming Atlanta to having their best year that they ever had about 4 years ago, and what he learned in that Spurs organization. How impressed were you when you got the opportunity to meet him and get to know him?
Well, he's a pro. We have one of our owners, Wes Edens, who says, why don't we find somebody who's done that and done it successfully before, to set the pathway to get it done, and Bud's that guy. Bud has created and developed players into better players, teams into better teams, and that's really what you want as an organization.
Yeah, players got to love playing for him because they typically go on to make a lot of money after playing for Mike Budenholzer.
I think you can ask a lot of players, and they'd agree with you.
Well, Peter, we appreciate some time here. It's an exciting time for the Bucks. I can't wait to get out to the arena. It looks unbelievable.
Good. We can't wait to have you. Go Bucks, and thanks for the time.
All right, Stu, it kind of looks like the mock draft over here with Peter wearing the hat like you did a couple of weeks ago on NBA TV for 2 straight hours.
He's not wearing it, Jared. He's rocking it, and rocking it strong. That's tremendous.
They have one of the coolest logos in the NBA.
Yes, they do. Fear the deer. Fear the deer.
It.
Kristen, something that was interesting, one thing that Peter said that it shouldn't go unnoticed when he's talking about his team after he spoke about Giannis. He talked about his young players like Brogdon and Middleton and Giannis and now Dante, and he said they were smart.
Yeah.
Which to me, as a president, indicates that they have a certain type of player that they're going after, obviously talented ones, but they want to win, and they think that smart players are capable of winning, and that wasn't lost on me. Again, he's the president. He knows what they're looking for, and I just didn't want viewers to let that go by, because there's a man that understands what he wants his team branded as.
And such an excellent description of Giannis as well, when he says he's recruiting fans to the Milwaukee Bucks, that he tells them, watch one game and you're going to be amazed by something he does, and that's exactly what he's like in person as well. Coach Bud, though, with this very young core and the opportunity now to step into this Bucks new arena that's going to be opening up on August 26th, he talked about that lower bowl, the experience of it. 17,500 fans will be able to fit inside it for basketball games. But Stu, one thing I wanted to mention to you is something that our Caron Butler told me, and he's trying to have the very first ever event in that arena and have his wedding vow renewal ceremony for all of his family members from Racine, Wisconsin.
That's
great idea,
that's
right?
awesome. Caron Butler is a Wisconsin native, as you just mentioned. I'd buy a ticket to that event.
Yeah, how many people actually live in Racine?
I'd probably say 100,000. It can't be much more than that. Don't quote me on that.
How many do we think perhaps are related to Caron? Tough to say. Well, let's go to this replay with Lonnie Walker here.
Well, there you see Lonnie going to his left. That's what he does extremely well. When he has the ball in his hands, he has the ability to create for others and create for himself. And at his size, Kristen, he's got great size for a wing player, guard player at 6'6", great quickness, long arms, athleticism. That is a glimpse of what you're going to see from Lonnie Walker down the road.
Racine, by the way, Stu, has 77,571 residents. If we assume about 10% or so of them are related to Caron in some fashion, they could fit into the arena.
Yeah, no question. You know, tough juice, and you know what? I have to believe that there will be caravans of buses from Racine
no
up
doubt.
to the new arena
No doubt.
to see Tough Juice renew his wedding vows. What a great story. What a great young man, Caron Butler.
Yes.
And if you don't like guys like Caron Butler, you don't
You're
like
the problem.
you're
right.
the problem.
Yeah, no doubt. DJ Wilson leading with 12 points thus far as the Bucks now lead the way 28-23. Spurs with another attempt from downtown, but Milwaukee headed the other way.
Yes, you know, when you take a long jump shot like that from a big, that's a shooting turnover, Kristen.
Yeah.
Leads to an easy bucket in the other end.
Look at that right there. That's where all of Caron's family members will be walking in to those beautiful doors. We'll be right back after this. We're back in Las Vegas with the Bucks holding the 30-23 lead over the Spurs. Spurs with possession. Hanlon with a turnover. He's been nearly perfect out here thus far offensively.
Yeah, he got himself up in the air and what we call over-penetrated the basketball with not any options. Something he can learn from. But I like the way they came out after the timeout in terms of having some ball movement. When they made their little mini run, they were getting the ball inside. Every time they go to the perimeter, bad things happen on the other end with a breakout with the Bucks.
And keep in mind now, we are in the playoff round, so every team will get 2 games, but it's not double elimination. There is a consolation round, so the winner of this game will go on to play Philadelphia Saturday at 5:30. Drew Eubanks at the line.
Well, let's get them within 5 here. Let's see if the Spurs can come up with a solid defensive possession here against the Bucks. I mean, the Bucks are moving the basketball better. They're shooting the basketball better. They're rebounding the basketball better.
As Wood goes in hard, gets fouled. Try and get the and one. Wood and Wilson have been the offensive contributors thus far. Not a very balanced offensive effort, but if you've got those guys that continue to take advantage inside, you want to keep going there, Stu.
You know, for a guy his size, great attacking the rim, right? And keeping the ball up high with some strength. I mean, he's now 6 of 7 from the field. But, you know, when you're a guy that size and you're taking it to the rim, the last thing you want to do is avoid contact, Kristen. You want to take it strong, eyes on the rim, everything going towards the rim. Don't try to double pump or clutch or get the foul. Just take it there. Good things will happen, and that's what happened with Wood.
And he's played in 30 NBA games since 2015, both with Philadelphia and Charlotte as well. What is it about a guy like that who has gained that NBA experience coming out here, playing with some of these younger guys who are getting it for the very first time? What is it about him that will stand out?
Well, the fact that he's seasoned, that he understands how to play sound, fundamental offensive basketball. When you've played 95 G League games and over 30 NBA games, you're not out here trying to do things you can't do, but do well what you can do. And that's Christian Wood. I think for him, physically, you look at him, he's got good presence, but he needs to get a little bit stronger. Spend that time in the weight room, continue to develop his skill. And, you know, he's the type of guy, he'll make it at some point here at his size. It just hasn't happened on a consistent NBA regular season yet.
Olivier Hanlon, 2 of 2 from the free throw line. He was acquired by the Spurs back in 2016 in exchange for Boris Diaw and a second-round pick. The Bucks.
That's a good cross-court pass.
From the corner.
Very good pass there by Sterling Brown for an easy, wide open 3.
Hanlon again, this time to Ledbetter. He kicks it out up top.
Someone said Ledbetter is the oldest player here in the Summer League. Were you aware of that, Kristen? It's a fun fact that will make you very popular at your next cocktail hour. Yes.
Well, you know what makes me sad? If he's the oldest player here, Stu, he's actually still 6 months younger than I am. Awesome.
Christian Wood with the putback.
Christian Wood yet again.
See, Christian's having some success here because there's no one really on the Spurs that's physical enough to really get a body on him. So he's just having free reign on the offensive glass, having free reign driving the basketball at the rim, because physically there's no one out here to really match him.
12 points for Hanlon thus far. He was 1 of 2 his last trip to the free throw line, but here's Wood yet again, and continuing to score. He's not just taking advantage of those half-court sets where he's able to set up his man defensively. He's also taking advantage in transition. I mean, this is a guy who could get down the floor.
Yeah, he's got some versatility to him. And, now he blocks the
16
shot.
points. There's a block. He gets it ahead to Trice. Barnett throws it down.
Christian Wood officially just became this game's Swiss Army knife. He's doing it all.
Does it all.
Yeah, he's doing it all.
Lonnie Walker, the Reading High School product, since we're plugging Stu's.
All academic ACC too, by the way, Kristen.
You were, no, he was.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's that good Reading High School education.
I did, though, a little bit of research. Lenny Moore, Hall of Fame running back. The Baltimore Colts, also from Reading High School.
That's correct. Went to school with his son.
Spurs again headed the other way. Walker tries to give it up, but a broken play there.
Bad decision. He might have wanted just taken that and finished with his left hand.
Feed the hot hand. Wood thought he was fouled. The Spurs get it ahead to Walker.
Lonnie Walker, Milwaukee, timeout.
Milwaukee leading the way 40-32 now. And how about Christian Wood?
Get it out of here.
The Swiss Army knife of this game thus far. Buck leading the Spurs 40-32, and it's been an offensive effort led, Stu, by DJ Wilson, Christian Wood. We're still waiting for Dante DiVincenzo's first professional baskets, but you talked about him figuring out a way to contribute in other areas. He's got an assist and a couple of steals thus far. Are those the kind of things that you want to see from Dante in this first game?
Well, those are a given with Dante. He's going to do other things in the game to help you win. I mean, the fact that he's not shooting the ball well right now probably has more to do with the fact he hasn't played. And as much as he's probably practiced and worked out, again, he's not in a good offensive flow the way that I'm used to seeing him. But again, that won't deter him from the other parts of the game. He'll rebound.
How then do you shake that? How do you shake something like that? Because it could be that he hasn't played. It could also be some of the nerves of playing in your professional debut. Do you try and drive more often? Do you try and dish off to some of your teammates? How do you get going offensively when your shot isn't falling?
Well, I've always found, coaching the game, that when players are struggling, if they can get to the free throw line or get an easy shot at the rim, just so they can see the ball go through the net, it helps their confidence, and then better things start to happen.
The Spurs, though, making a run here, a 9-0 run as they cut into the deficit. Milwaukee now just leading the way by 3 with less than a minute to go in this first half.
See, it's interesting when you watch the Bucks, their three-point shots are coming off of either going inside and out or making the extra pass, and now, they're 4 for 9 from the field. When you watch the Spurs take three-point shots, they're off the dribble, they're not off the extra pass, they're forced, and that's the difference in the game.
Jerron Blossomgame driving, gets the foul.
Number 5, DJ Wilson, his first personal foul. First team foul.
We're going to take a live look over at Thomas and Mack. Our game now with 30 seconds to go until halftime, but this game in the first quarter, less than 5 minutes to go. We've got the battle in La La Land. The Lakers leading the way 10-4 over the Clippers. Blossomgame misses his.
It's unfortunate the Spurs are missing 2 key pieces today. We should mention that. The fact that Derek White is not playing with the Spurs today.
Chimezie Metu as well.
Chimezie Metu, right. Yeah. I mean, we saw Chimezie play early in the Summer League and good rim protector, real live body, and maybe would have given Wood some more wood. And we wouldn't be going off like he is.
You did, though, say that because of those missing assets, that Lonnie would be heavily relied upon offensively.
Yeah, and so far he's not had one of his better games, but
There's Dante DiVincenzo with his assist. And Bucks for 3. We've got less than 5 seconds to go here in this first half. Hamlin trying to make something happen offensively. Ledbetter can't get it off in time. And the Milwaukee Bucks lead the way 46-38 to finish that second quarter. Wood leads the way with 16 points and 8 rebounds. We've got more from halftime here in Las Vegas coming up after this.
Summer League veteran Christian Wood with 16 leading the way. We're at the half between San Antonio and Milwaukee, and the Bucks have a 46-38 lead. Jared Greenberg here. We'll get back to Kristen Ledlow and Stu Jackson in a moment. Sekou Smith from NBA.com. A lot of buzz. We're talking about Kawhi Leonard, but now the paparazzi's getting involved with spotting Kawhi at a local hotel, and now the real wonder is in a couple of days, USA Basketball minicamp, and that's bringing up a lot of intrigue because Mike Krzyzewski stepped outside of the way, and here comes Greg Popovich just in time to coach Kawhi.
Yeah, that's the mystery, Jared. Everybody's wondering, are we going to get these two guys in the room on that day and finally get some resolution to what's going on with Kawhi? We don't even know if it's true that they've had a sit-down heart-to-heart. So this could very well be the first time they get face-to-face and have a chance to talk some things out. But you better believe myself and a bunch of other guys are going to be out here on July 25th waiting to see what happens, because that's the last big story of the summer, basically, is what happens with Kawhi.
And to put it into perspective, the reason why that's so important and why Kawhi is not likely just to get a pass to miss it is because since Jared Colangelo has taken over, one of the big things is that if he's going to play in the World Cup next year and the Olympics in a couple of years from now, even if you don't get on the court to practice, Kawhi's got to be here and go to the meetings.
They demand your presence, which is one of the reasons the program has turned around the way it has under Jerry Colangelo. They have to get a buy-in from these guys. And Kawhi's in the prime of his career. Why would he not want to be a part of the team that represents the United States in the Olympics, potentially in the World Basketball Cup? I mean, he has to be here. I can't imagine he's going to miss it, and I'm sure Pop is expecting him here.
How much longer do you think this goes on without any sort of at least inclination as to what is going to be Kawhi's future?
The Spurs don't have any time crunch. They could drag this all the way out to training camp, start a training camp, even to the trade deadline in February, if they wanted to. If they wanted to make it uncomfortable for Kawhi. It's really up to Kawhi to decide what he's willing to do. If he just is adamant about leaving, he's going to have to make that clear to Pop, man to man, and let him know what he wants to do.
And the Spurs still have that nice little chip of a $219 million contract that they can offer him this summer. Sekou Smith, read his work at NBA.com. Check out the Hang Time podcast. Sekou, thank you so much. We've got Kristen and Stu coming back with the second half. We're waiting on Dante DiVincenzo to do that, get his first pro bucket.
Welcome back to the MGM Resorts NBA Summer League 2018. Milwaukee Bucks lead the way over the San Antonio Spurs 46-38 here at the start of the third quarter. And Stu, you and I have talked a lot about Dante DiVincenzo making his professional debut. 0 of 3 from the field thus far, but 2 assists, 2 steals. We haven't seen him score yet. We're waiting on that first professional bucket. But what is it that you want to see from him in this second half?
Well, you're rooting for the young man. You want him to shake off some of the rust, and the fact he hasn't shot the ball well, it has more to do with the fact he just hasn't played. But the reason the Bucks took Dante DiVincenzo is because of his all-around game. The fact that he can make a play. He passes the ball extremely well. We mentioned at the top that he's a good team defender. He deflects the ball, gets his hands on a lot of balls. You know, he can get in the lane and makes plays for others. And, you know, listen, when you're, you know, an NBA player, there are only 60 guys in this league that you count on for scoring every single night. The other, you know, 390, they're role players. And here you have a guy, a young player, that fulfills a role, and you can put him in the game because he defends and makes plays for other people.
Alongside our Stu Jackson, I'm Kristen Ledlow. We go now to our third member of the broadcast team, our sideline reporter, Jared Greenberg, with more on Dante.
Guys, as you notice, not on the court here to start the second half, and that's as a precautionary measure. Everything's okay with Dante, who's coming back from a groin injury, but Bucks are going to shut him down after 11 minutes in the first half of his pro debut. Remember, he hasn't played a real basketball game in about 3 months since the national championship game. Injured the groin during draft workouts and just started getting back on the court about 3 or 4 practices here in Vegas, where they've been giving him just a little bit more each day to build off of. And the coaching staff, they were pleased with what they saw, despite not making a shot. They like doing the little things. They loved his energy on the court. So Dante DiVincenzo makes his pro debut with just 11 minutes in the first half, and then we'll see him later in the week.
Thanks, Jared. So that's it then for Dante. Stu, what are the intangibles, though, that you watched as he was out there, again, in his professional debut that you think will translate well to the NBA?
Yeah, well, Jared mentioned a few of them, and we talked about it at the top. I mean, again, you know, I've watched this guy a lot, and I can tell you that he truly is a winner, and that's what they can expect from him. When I say a winner, I'm talking about a guy that does other things than just score the ball. You know, I heard a quote by Jeff Van Gundy last week where he talked about young players being able to focus on everything except the ball. That's Dante DiVincenzo.
Wow.
He rebounds the ball, he can defend, he passes the ball, he screens, he'll make hustle plays. Those are all things that are off the ball that make for a good NBA player.
The Spurs looking to cut into this deficit against the Bucks, still leading the way 49 now to 45 here in the third quarter with about 8 minutes to go. The Summer League tournament continues tonight in Las Vegas on ESPN2 and the ESPN app. Tonight, Atlanta, Portland at 10:30 Eastern.
Okay, Spurs making a little bit of a defensive stand here.
Travis Trice gonna have to get one up at the end of the shot clock. Can't get it to go. Spurs headed the other way.
Spurs have come out, Kristen, and really tried to make a better defensive effort. Down at that end, you can see it. It's paid some dividends. They've cut the lead to 4 points here.
And it's not an easy thing to do when you're playing on a team that you're not used to playing with, when you're playing alongside guys that you haven't had a lot of chances to play alongside, to be communicative on defense, to know where it is that you're supposed to be.
No, it's a very good point. And Kristen, the toughest thing is just when you're only together for a short time, getting defensive rotations down pat is tough. So you really individually have to rely as a defender on stopping your guy and just at the very least helping one time and returning back to your man. Because you don't have the rotations, the schemes to really extend offenses in late into the shot clock.
It hasn't just been that communication on defense that has made the Bucks so successful thus far in this game. It's also just their 5th turnover. That's their lowest thus far in Summer League.
Yeah, turnovers are key. That was a great defensive play there by Barnett from the Bucks with the block shot, giving them an extra possession.
Wilson yet again. He can't get that one to go, but Wood is there.
Well, he couldn't get it to go because I thought Brima made an excellent defensive play just to challenge that shot without fouling. Fortunately, the Bucks get the ball back.
Christian Wood on the inbounds. Finds Wilson. Went up strong yet again, but another great defensive effort by the San Antonio Spurs and Amita Brima.
Yeah. That's one contest by Brima, and now you have the well-timed block. That's excellent. You know, those are the type of plays that inspire a basketball team, even in Summer League.
That's his 3rd block thus far.
Yeah, those are the type of effort defensive plays that pick your whole team up and continue, the run that they're doing right here. So let's see what it brings for the Spurs.
Bucks rebound on the miss. Travis Trice headed the other way. Staying on this end. A double-double already, though, for Christian Wood in this one.
Yeah, no, he's been terrific. Now, the fact that Brima's now in the game against Wood is a matchup that you want to watch, though. When Wood had his highest productivity in the first half, Brima wasn't in the game. So, I don't think it's any coincidence here that, the fact that he's on him now, Wood hasn't been as productive, but we'll keep an eye on it.
And you mentioned that the Spurs had to make defensive stops in the paint as we see Wilson score yet again inside.
Yeah, no, that was an excellent, well-designed play there. DJ Wilson slipped away from the screen. Again, we talked about defensive rotations and they aren't there. Those are the type of, second and third defensive plays and rotations that are tough to put together with the Summer League team that lead to easy buckets like that.
14 for Wilson. Walker out to McKinney Jones, but again, Brima with the rebound. Spurs with possession.
Yeah, the Spurs are a little bit out of sync offensively. Players don't know where to expect the basketball, where it's coming from. A little bit too much dribbling, creating for themselves versus other teammates.
And it's also gotten quieter. Have you noticed? Offensively, they're not talking to each other anymore.
Yeah.
The Milwaukee Bucks lead the way here in the third quarter with 5:17 to go, 51-45. We'll be right back. We're back in Vegas, where the Bucks hold a 51-45 lead over the Spurs. And one guy whose future is anything but certain thus far, Stu, is Jabari Parker. 24 minutes a game, 12.5 points a game, and nearly 50% from the field. What is it that you think his future holds, whether it's in Milwaukee or otherwise as a restricted free agent?
Well, I'll tell you one thing his future does hold, Kristen, is that his talent will begin to take over as he begins to continue to recover from injury. There's one thing we know about Jabari Parker. He is a supreme talent. And you can't forget the fact that he has had two very serious injuries that he's not completely recovered from. But as you saw in the graphic, here's a guy that still averaged 12 points a game and shot 48% from the field. So he's a freight train coming, all right? And I think, you talk about a guy that 2 years ago averaged 20 points a game. He's just on his way back. And, for the Bucks, you're probably hoping as a restricted free agent, someone doesn't make the leap and sign him to an offer sheet, because if you're the Bucks, you probably want to wait one more year through this next regular season to see how he progresses and then make a decision at that point.
I spoke with Jabari at the start of the last regular season, and he told me at the time that he was already ready, but because he had back-to-back knee injuries and back-to-back years, that the medical staff wouldn't yet clear him until he reached that one-year mark, but that he was feeling so much stronger in that second injury than he was in the first. But again, then we saw what he was able to contribute to that team once he did make the return. I know for more on Jabari, we've got our Jared Greenberg standing by. Jared?
Well, guys, Stu, you hit the nail on the head. Not only is it a bad summer to be a free agent because not much money out there, it's a really bad summer to be a free agent when you're coming off an injury, as DeMarcus Cousins found out. But although most feel he wound up in a pretty good spot in Golden State, similar situation here with Milwaukee, where Alex Kennedy of Hoopside is reporting that Jabari Parker's hometown team, the Bulls, where he grew up in Chicago, is showing some interest. Again, they have a pretty deep front line with Wendell Carter Jr. and Lauri Markkanen. You wonder how he would fit in there. The Bucks have themselves an interesting situation where they currently have 13 guys under contract. Remember, they just signed Brook Lopez. So they certainly, Jabari, like many other of the restricted free agents, may just take the qualifying offer for the year, just make under $5 million, and then become an unrestricted free agent next season. The interesting part of that, though, Stu, is that if that's the case, he can't be traded this year.
That's correct. He can't be. And listen, I mean, as much as, you talk about the fact that what's not available to Jabari, again, I want to focus in from the Milwaukee Bucks team side because it's an advantage for them. They get that opportunity to see this guy for one more year to see if he can get back to where he was, over a year ago. And, boy, the benefit is if he does get back, boy, they really have another piece that could propel them to an Eastern Conference, championship. Everybody talks about the Raptors. They talk about the Celtics, right?
The Sixers.
The Sixers.
Right.
They don't talk about the Bucks. But you get a guy like Jabari Parker back in the fold playing at that level to go along with Middleton and Giannis and Brogdon and Bledsoe and a coach like Mike Budenholzer, and we're all going to be sitting around in about 8 months going, how did it all happen?
Yeah, how did we miss this? Wait a second.
Yeah, and, people I know are down on the Eastern Conference, but you add a healthy Milwaukee team in there, and all of a sudden you really have something special going on.
Jaron Blossomgame sitting down now with 12 points, and he has helped the Spurs come back within one. The Bucks now with a 1-point lead, 54-53 here with 3:05 to go in the third quarter. The Spurs, though, Stu, have never had the lead in this game. Milwaukee has held strong to the lead, but at this point is looking to be threatened as we head into a fourth quarter.
Yeah, but Milwaukee's playing smart basketball here, Kristen. And they have from the opening buzzer. They move the basketball. They take good shots that are on the perimeter. They come from inside out. Here we have a situation where they're only up one. What do? They drive the basketball at the rim, get a free throw, and try to maintain that cushion.
The Junior NBA World Championships is the NBA's first ever global youth basketball tournament for top 13 and 14-year-old boys and girls teams from around the world. Now, this inaugural event will feature boys and girls divisions, each comprised of 16 teams that will compete this August on Fox and FS1. To learn more, you can visit juniornba.com/World Championship. We're coming back with less than 3 minutes to go here in this third quarter and a 2-point game. We've got a good one. Keep it on.
San Antonio offense is fouled for 25 through the
We're back in Vegas with less than 3 minutes to go in this third quarter and a 2-point game in a game that the Bucks have never trailed, largely due to Christian Wood. 22 points, 10 of 14 from the field, and 11 rebounds thus far. And Stu, he's appeared in 30 NBA games since 2015. He only hit 4 three-pointers total. He's got 2 already tonight.
Well, he's a living example of how big men in today's NBA are increasing their value as a player by shooting a long-range perimeter shot. But Christian Wood today, the fact he's got 22 points, 11 rebounds in 21 minutes is impressive. He's a leading rebounder in the game, but he's also leading in the game in offensive rebounding, which tells you he's been very active, not only on offensively, but on the offensive glass. Defensively, he's had a little bit of a presence in terms of protecting the rim, and he's having an outstanding game. There's no way to cut it.
And as Christian Wood sits down to, perhaps catch his breath, our Jared Greenberg has a little bit more.
It's something about July 12th. 2 years ago on this day, Christian Wood made everyone in Vegas turn heads. I remember the game vividly. We were doing it on NBA TV. He was playing for the Sixers at the time. July 12th, 2016, and Wood scores 22 points on 8 of 12 shooting, 5 rebounds, and had 2 blocks. It was one of those games where you said the Sixers have to find a way to get this guy on the roster and make him a pro.
His 30 games in the NBA have been with Philadelphia and Charlotte. He, though, also, Stu, has played 95 G League games in that amount of time, so the professional experience certainly on his side.
Yeah, without question. And, when you see young men develop their game and show this type of level of commitment and effort and energy, you root for them. I mean, you really do, because that's what the Summer League is really all about in terms of developing your game and making it to an NBA camp in the fall and hopefully to make a roster.
Travel call on Sterling Brown. The Spurs now with an opportunity to continue to cut into this deficit as the Bucks start to pull away 61-55 now with 1:12 to go in the third.
You know, if you're the Spurs here, you know, you just want to hang around here. You want to finish this quarter well. You don't want this 6-point lead to go to a 10-point lead. You want to get something good here offensively in the paint area or get to the free throw line. Good effort there by the Spurs. Tough miss.
Milwaukee struggling to hang on.
Now, I'm going to mention that loose ball right there. I'm going to put my coaching hat on right now.
I like it.
It took a little bit too long for guys to get on the floor for that ball.
This is Summer League.
Like, you got to get on the floor. You know?
I mean, I could have gotten out there by then.
Yeah, there was just too much hesitation here. You had one guy go after, and everybody else is sort of reaching, should I go for it? Should I,
Guess I got to do this.
Get on the floor.
It's fair, though, because I played college volleyball and basketball, and at a certain point, you start to look at these hardwood floors and think, I got to protect my knees, unless nobody else is going for it. Otherwise, you're 30, like me, and can barely walk. We've already established that I'm older than the oldest player here at Summer League this summer.
What'd you say you were, 30, Kristen? Do you know what old is?
No, I just said I'm older than the oldest player at Summer League.
Okay. You've been crying
se.
old a little bit too much.
Well, because they're all 19.
Yeah. Well, I'm double your age, so,
No, what, you're not 60.
For the Spurs.
I have 2 grandkids.
Right, but that doesn't... I don't think I ever would have guessed you're 60.
Yeah, well,
Great
great gene pool. Thank you, Chris.
Raphael Putney on the line. He started the season in France before joining the Erie Bayhawks. So, again, a guy with G League experience. He finished this year in Puerto Rico. Played at the University of Massachusetts. He'll knock that one down. Bucks with possession.
I mean, count them up on the Spurs, the Austin Spurs, I should say. There must be 6, 7 guys on their Summer League roster from their G League team. And, again, that's what the G League is really all about, and that's how you gain value and develop these guys. They're sitting there in Austin. You're not too far away from San Antonio. So they can practice with the big club if you want. They can go down to Austin and play in meaningful games. And that back and forth in that process is really beneficial for teams that have great locations of their G League team.
Especially being in and around a world-class organization. You get a chance to see how to become a winner.
Yeah. Well, it's not only how to become a winner, but when you're in organizations like the Spurs, there's a standard. There's a standard of excellence that comes with an expectation. And any player knows when you go to organizations like that, whether it's Golden State or San Antonio or Miami or there are a ton of different places. You come in and you understand quickly what is expected.
That'll do it for the end of the third quarter. The Milwaukee Bucks lead the way 63-58. Christian Wood leading with 22 points and 11 rebounds, while DJ Wilson at 17 and 9. Welcome back to Summer League. In Las Vegas, the Milwaukee Bucks holding on to the 63-58 lead over the San Antonio Spurs here at the start of the fourth quarter. And this has been an offensive effort dominated by DJ Wilson with 17 points and 9 rebounds, and Christian Wood with 22 points and 11 rebounds. Got those guys back out on the floor now, resting the end of the third quarter. Wood with the mid-range jumper, can't get it to fall. Spurs headed the other way.
Yeah, when you get that much offense from 2 of your not only better players, but your more veteran players, that just lets you know that they've been in this position before. Both DJ Wilson and Christian Wood have performed terrific here.
Let's take a look at the playoff bracket, because this is the playoff round. Keep in mind that the winner of this game is going to move on to play Philadelphia Saturday at 8:30 Eastern on ESPN2. That game was decided just right before we sat down. Keep in mind this is every team getting 2 games. It's not double elimination. There is a consolation round, but the winner of this will move on in tournament play. Now a 3-point deficit. What those two, would you say, if you're the Spurs, this is a team that has not led the entirety of this game. Christian Wood
And big fella rubs his head,
Right.
claims he got hit.
Man, may
Great
just
cut
knocked
to
his
the
own head
basket.
on the rim. If you're the Spurs, though, what is it that you want to do to try and regain this, to gain the very first lead for the first time in the fourth quarter?
Well, you have to stay with what they're doing here, and you see it in this possession. Now the difference is they're putting the basketball on the floor to move the basketball in an effort to get a quality shot versus trying to create for yourself. This is just one heck of a
Trey
athletic
McKinney
move.
Jones and hanging out in the air for a while.
And then the other thing, Kristen, I mean, it's all about, now you're getting into crunch time, it's all about getting stops here, defensive stops. 5 guys committed to stopping the basketball. You make defensive plays like that, you have a shot.
San Antonio
Bremer that time had to go and help, and it left Christian Wood open for an easy offensive rebounding opportunity, and then he ends up getting fouled.
He's had, by the way, 6 blocks in this one. The record at Summer League for the most block shots in a game is just 7. Jackie Carmichael did it back in 2013, and Kent Bazemore did it in 2012.
Kent Bazemore, that's a surprising one.
Yeah, I know.
No, he's a
that he had
perimeter
7
player.
blocks, right.
That's
Impressive.
Christian may get there. He may tie the record. I think if he breaks the record, Christian, the place will erupt. What do you think?
I think so too, Stu. I think so too. Christian Wood can't get that free throw to fall. But Spurs again with an opportunity here to take their first lead of the game in the fourth quarter. Just a 5-point game. London, Morantes trying to make something happen offensively, turns the ball over. Bucks possession.
Yeah, which is unusual for Morantes. You know, he prides his game on not turning the basketball over. That time he got caught up in the air, had nowhere to go on the baseline, and had to throw an errant pass to the corner there.
Spent the season as a two-way player with the Cleveland Cavaliers, 14 games with the Cavs, 35 games, 35 starts with the Canton Charge. And you talk again about a team that's close enough to be part of both the NBA franchise and their G League affiliate.
No, that's exactly right. And if you look at the trend of NBA owners today, and as they acquire G League teams or they move their existing G League franchise, they want it close to home because of what we talked about. It's such a keen advantage when you have that, you know, minor league club nearby the parent club.
San Antonio foul number 7, Olivier Hanlon, his 4th personal foul. Second team foul on the Spurs.
Yeah, Morantes, he's kicking himself thinking about that last play.
It looked like it.
Yeah, he is. Because as a point guard, that's your job, is to lead your team and
to facilitate the offense, which is
Sure.
what he does so well.
yeah. Former University of Virginia, Cavalier, Wahoo Wah.
He's used to wearing that Cavaliers name across his chest, huh? And Hanlon with another 3.
See, but that's a bad 3. It's a catch, it's a wait, it's a hesitate 3. It wasn't shot in rhythm. And at this point, the Spurs have been doing a great job of putting the ball on the floor, moving it, and getting extra, rhythm and shots. That time you take a standstill out of rhythm 3, no good. Fortunately, didn't hurt them. Now they have another opportunity here, hopefully to tie the game or get within 1.
Morantes this time on the keeper. Nope, he'll kick it out.
See, that's a good pass and a good shot. He missed it, but okay. Those are the type of perimeter shots that you want. The ones that come from inside the paint back out to the perimeter.
Waterman driving. The kick out to Wilson for 3. At this point, I mean, Wilson and Wood, you've got to assume are getting a little tired, right, from bearing that offensive load.
Okay.
That's more what you were talking about.
Yeah, no, exactly. And also more we're talking about with Lonnie Walker.
Right.
See, he shows that extra gear, that explosion, off the floor, and the ability to make plays for others. He didn't go in there trying to dunk the ball and create a highlight reel. He was going in to make a play for someone else, and that's the type of jump shot that you want.
And they got it and have tied the game now at 65 apiece with less than 6 minutes to go during the fourth quarter.
His 5th personal foul. 13th foul on the Spurs. Time on the floor.
Tie game here in the fourth quarter with 5:59 to go at 65 apiece between the Milwaukee Bucks and San Antonio Spurs. And the Summer League tournament continues tonight in Las Vegas on NBA TV and the ESPN app. We've got Utah at Orlando at 10 Eastern. We'll be here hanging out with you the rest of the night. Stu, you talked about what it's taken for the Spurs to get back into this game. It hasn't just been an offensive effort. It has been a defensive one as well. Amita Brima with 6 blocks still thus far, and we talked about perhaps his setting the Summer League record. It's just at 7, so it's not out of reach, but we did look into the regular season records, and starting with the very first season that blocked shot became a statistic. Elmore Smith set the record with 17 of them in a Lakers-Blazers game back in 1973.
Yeah, so if it's in 1973, that means it didn't count guys like Bill Russell or Will Chamberlain, right? And Wilt, rest in peace, but we know if he were here, I'm sure he would dispute that record and tell us there were multiple games over 17.
I'm sure he would make sure that we knew.
He would definitely make sure that you knew.
Okay, well, speaking of guys that make sure that you know, guess who's second place on that record?
Who?
Someone we work with.
Who is?
A guy who
Shaquille O'Neal? Shaquille O'Neal?
I love that that was the only hint you needed. A guy that we work with that you know will let you know.
Yes.
He had 15 in a game in 93.
Yeah, as they say, Shaq was an I player. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, there's no I in team, but there is one in Shackton. This now a 69-65 lead for the Milwaukee Bucks here in the fourth quarter. Less than 5 minutes to play. Sterling Brown on the drive. And it's blocked.
How many block shots do the Spurs have now as a team?
Yeah, as a team.
They've got 14 block shots now as a team. It's tough going in the paint if you're a Milwaukee Buck.
Very much so.
But again, that highlights how well they're moving the basketball, getting quality shots even in spite of having 14 shots blocked.
Walker again with a chance to create offensively to keep the Spurs within shooting distance.
Yeah, you can see Walker's the most comfortable in his game when he has a basketball in his hand. That was an excellent pass there by Parantes. It just was mishandled and they got a bad shot, but what a nice look.
Travis Trice driving.
So you got a mismatch in the paint there. So even on the missed shot, oh, he had Ledbetter on Wood there. I thought it was going to be another offensive rebound. Very good ball movement. And Lonnie Walker's down.
He is. He hasn't gotten back up yet.
You know, he's had a history of knee injuries.
The timeout called as Lonnie Walker is able to
San Antonio timeout.
Get back to the bench on his own power. We'll find out more, and we'll have more for you right after the break. To go in the fourth quarter, a 4-point lead for the Milwaukee Bucks. And Lonnie Walker, moments ago, going down at the top of the key. He has made his way back to the locker room, and we'll have more information on that injury to what appears to be the right foot.
Yeah, it looked like he tweaked his ankle or foot there somehow. You know, Kristen, when you see players get injured, I always cringe at the ones where there's no contact. Those are the ones that bother you the most, because then that just means that his body's failed him. It's not as a result of somebody inflicting injury.
We'll have more on Lonnie, and as soon as we have it, we'll let you know. Travis Trice now kicking out. DJ Wilson.
See, now the pressure is on the Bucks a little bit. You only have a 2-point lead. You want to make sure you get that good shot at the rim, which that was a very good shot, but now shots get a little bit more difficult to make if you're the team with the lead.
Jerron Blossomgame with 3 more. This now, again, a 1-point game, but a Spurs lead, and their very first lead of this entire game, now with 2:25 to go in this fourth quarter.
First lead, and quietly, Jerron Blossomgame has had a very good game with 19 points here. But the Bucks come back and they respond. I think we got a barn burner here, Kristen. What do you think?
That we do, Stu. That we do. Yeah. We were just told to get more excited. We're excited. It's July and it's basketball. We're obviously excited. That right there is what we needed. All right? Jordan Barnett throwing it down, undrafted in 2018 after 4 seasons in college. Hanlon now.
Yeah, he was at Texas and then moved to Missouri. Carantes, now there, right, he dribbled into that shot, but those are the type shots you want your point guard to make.
Still more in rhythm.
Yeah, but he understands time, score, clock. You want your point guard to have that kind of confidence to step up a la John Stockton and take those threes at crucial times.
Now, Stu, you and I are used to working those late night game times at NBA TV.
All too many.
What's the word that we are not supposed to say in the late game?
Overtime.
Well, you just said it. Okay, we've completed 57 of 82 games and no overtime games yet thus far here in Las Vegas. So we'll see.
When you're working late night in that studio at 1:30 in the morning on West Coast games and you get an overtime game, it takes the wind out of your sails.
It really does. Like, it's like you just can't get through 5 extra minutes. You just can't. But we have the opportunity to have it here. 1 minute to go, a tie game between the Bucks and Spurs. The winner will advance to play Philadelphia Saturday. And the turnover, again, just a miscommunication there, Stu.
Yeah, no, he was zagging when he should have zigged.
When that happens.
But listen, okay, you have a turnover. It's a tie ball game. You know, it's what you call next play. Next play. You have an opportunity to get a stop here for the Spurs. Forget about that one. Make sure you have a good defensive possession. Keep your eye on Christian Wood.
Sterling Brown tried to get it to Wood. Wood just fumbled that ball. We do, though, have an injury update now with Jared Greenberg.
Kristen and Stu, Lonnie Walker won't return for the final minute here. He's injured his right ankle. It's an ankle sprain. It's the same ankle that he injured in the Utah Summer League that forced him out of action for 1 game there. He'll be reevaluated after the game.
Thanks, Jared.
Yeah, San Antonio now, Tristan, they have an opportunity here to go 2 for 1. So you get the shot here at the rim.
Inside, and exactly what you wanted to see from him.
You want 2 for 1. You want to be successful in that first one. So even if Bucks come down and score, they have an opportunity still to score.
A 2-point game now with 25.9 seconds to go here in this fourth quarter. The winner will advance here in Las Vegas. Resets to 14 seconds after an offensive rebound or a free throw attempt, and each team is allowed 1 coach's challenge during the final 2 minutes of the fourth quarter and in overtime. Now it would be a 2-minute overtime period, again now with a 2-point lead for the San Antonio Spurs. If it's still tied after that overtime period, it is a sudden death, which makes it a little more fun, right?
Yeah, and also, I mean, just to further set the stage here, you know, you've got both teams, the Spurs and the Bucks, that have a foul to give. Gets a little tricky here with the Spurs, though. You don't want to use it because if you can get the defensive stop, you've essentially probably won the basketball game.
Trice finds an open Wilson in the corner, pulls up, can't get it to fall. Brown fighting for the rebound inside. And we're going to stay with the Milwaukee possession.
Well, now if you're Milwaukee here, I mean, if you can get an open 3, you take it, but all you need is 2 to continue playing, and that's
there it is.
You put the onus on your defense and getting a stop.
The game now tied again at 75 apiece. 11 seconds to go here in the fourth quarter. It's a timeout. So we will be right back.
Well,
with 11 seconds to go here in this fourth quarter between the Bucks and Spurs. And Stu, if you were the San Antonio Spurs and you took your very first lead of this game in the final minutes of the fourth quarter and now have an opportunity to win this game with 11 seconds to go, what's your play?
well, I don't know what the specific play will be, but it's going to involve putting the ball in Parantes' hands. He's their best decision maker on the basketball floor. He has the ability with this lineup to get by a defender more than anyone. But remember now, the Bucks, regardless of whose hands the ball is in, they have a foul to give.
So at what time do you use that foul that you have to give?
Well, I'll tell you, you don't want to do it now. You want to wait down here till it gets down under 5 seconds, and if you can get that foul, get it to him.
You said you wanted the ball in Parantes' hands. He can't get it to go. It's a loose ball on the floor, and it looks like the Bucks may have actually gotten a timeout call prior to the end of regulation. We're going to take another look at it here.
You know, by the way, we haven't given a shout out to the officiating crew. You know, these officials on the floor here, many of them are young officials. They've done an outstanding job in this individual game. Very little complaining by the players, little complaining by the coaches. They've done a very good job here. You see that in the baseline. Is that DJ Wilson? Looks like he calls timeout before the expiration of time. The referees will go over to the table, make a determination about how much time to put back on the clock.
How much time do you need on the clock in order to touch the ball and get a shot off?
Well, you have to have 3/10 of a second or greater. Okay, anything under 3/10, you don't have the ability to get a shot off and only a tip in. This is the old Trent Tucker rule. When I was coaching the Knicks, now you need to Google that, Kristen. It was a long time ago. We were down in the game with 2/10 of a second to go, 1/10 of a second to go. We ran a play. Trent Tucker catches the ball, turns, shoots, makes the shot. We win the game, and everybody after the game said there's no way that with 1/10 on this second on the clock can you catch, turn, and shoot and make a jump shot. Came off a Mark Jackson inbound pass.
On Martin Luther King Day, huh?
On Martin Luther King Day. That's right. As the coach of the Knicks, I had a dream that day.
And it was
that Trent Tucker would shoot a winner, and we would go home happy.
Man, but there was a scientific ruling.
But after
Not possible, huh? All right. We are headed to overtime. We're going to take a 1-minute break, the first ever overtime game of Summer League thus far in Vegas. And I think it's because Stu said the word.
Right here to Summer League. We're going to 2 minutes of overtime.
This Summer League's first overtime period. The referee coming over to explain to us that the review was whether or not the Milwaukee Bucks did in fact call a timeout. With time still left in regulation, they reviewed that they in fact did not. So we're headed to overtime now. Again, a 2-minute overtime period. And if there's a tie, there is then another 2-minute overtime period. No more sudden death now in the playoff rounds, I have just been told.
All right, 2 minutes of overtime.
Okay, here we go.
There's some length in your jump ball, huh?
Yeah, length in the jump ball, but I tell you, the first possession is the key here. You know, whether you're the Bucks that you now have possession, that first is important. When the Spurs get it, their first is important.
And when you've only got 2 minutes, you have to take advantage of each of your possessions. Sterling Brown looking inside. DJ Wilson trying to gain the advantage. Can't. Trice pulls up, knocks down the three.
You know, if you're the Bucks, you don't like that shot, but you like the result.
Yeah.
That was a terrific shot by Trice.
8 points for Trice, and picked the right time to knock 3 down. Ferrantes to Blossomgame, who's looking inside. It's tipped. It'll remain Spurs ball.
Yeah, you only have 9 seconds left on the clock here now. It's important that you get some penetration into the lane and hopefully a kick. You don't want to end up with a perimeter shot. There's still a little bit of time left. You don't need a 3. You just need a quality shot. And instead, we have a foul.
Milwaukee foul number 23, Sterling Brown. His third
Milwaukee
personal
foul is on number 23, Sterling Brown.
So you get the foul, right?
First team foul in
Only
2
14
minutes.
seconds now, reset on the shot clock to get a quality shot. I can't emphasize enough. The Spurs, you still have 1:18 left. You don't need a 3 because that tendency is to go out there and try to tie the basketball game.
Immediately.
What you need is a score and a stop. And that can be a 2-point score. It doesn't need to be a 3.
Seems to be some confusion with the shot clock. But Spurs possession. Now down 3, as we mentioned.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Travel call on
Yeah.
Blossomgame.
Yeah, he got it, what we call happy feet. He picked up that back pivot foot before that ball came down on the floor.
Makes it sound a lot nicer than it is. The happy feet. Travis Trice again looking inside, which is where the Milwaukee Bucks have been able to take advantage all game long. And he's coming alive here in this overtime period now with 10 points, but 5 of them in this overtime period in just a minute's time.
Yeah, no, you know, Trice is, again, another undrafted player back in 2015. Is basically, out of Michigan State, taking over this basketball game in the overtime.
Sterling Brown with the rebound, and no chance he was going to give that up. Again, the Bucks looking to take advantage inside. Brown on the drive gets his own rebound.
At this point, you got a foul. You got a foul here. You got a foul.
20 seconds to go.
What are we doing here? I don't quite understand that particular strategy. You're down 5. You need possession of the basketball. I thought that the Spurs would have fouled defensively.
An 8-0 run for the Milwaukee Bucks in this overtime period. The Spurs unable to score. Milwaukee will advance to face the Philadelphia 76ers on Saturday. And their final score in overtime is 83-75. 8-0 in overtime. But it was Christian Wood who led the way, Stu, with 26 points and 15 rebounds. Not just what he was able to do offensively, the defensive presence and the intangibles that he's taken from his professional league experience, both with the G League and in the NBA, to lead this team from start to finish.
Yeah, I can't say enough about the game that he played. I mean, you talk about laying the wood. He did it today. And, what a way to begin to wind down his summer league stint and show that parent club what he's capable of. Just a tremendous performance.
DJ Wilson added 19 points and 10 rebounds as well. Our Jared Greenberg is standing by.
All right, Kristen. Well, we wanted to check in with Dante DiVincenzo, who didn't see any action here in the second half for overtime. But your first run as a pro, 11 minutes in that first half coming off the groin injury. How'd it feel?
It was good. I feel healthy. I feel pretty good. But we wanted to limit my minutes just to not overdo it the first game. So I'm thankful that we pulled the W out and we get another game.
Was texting back and forth with Coach Jay Wright during the game, and he said that the biggest thing about you is always be coachable, right? Be able to listen to the coaches.
Yeah.
What is it about that has made you so successful, whether it be high school into college and now with the Milwaukee Bucks?
It's my ability to adapt. Different teams, different dynamics of different teams, and just my ability to adapt to that team and fit.
So now what's the plan moving forward with you as you work your way back from the groin injury and get yourself out to full speed? How much more time do you expect to see out here in Vegas?
Yeah, we're gonna see. We're gonna see how I recover after this game. Go back to the hotel, give me some treatment, and then come in tomorrow, get ready for practice, and see how I feel going forward. Hopefully, increase the minutes.
The last time you were on the court, we know what happened in the national championship game, scoring the 31, the most outstanding player of the Final Four. Was there such a different feeling today being out there for the first time in 3 months?
The different feeling was being out there with different guys. This is my first time I really played a game with those guys. I mean, I really wasn't scrimmaging that much in practice, so this is the first time I was on the court with those guys.
I noticed before the game and then while the game was going on, there's a lot of communication. You seem like you've built a bit of a rapport with some of these guys already, trying to figure out who you're defending, what you're doing on both sides of the court.
Yeah, I mean, communication is key for us. I mean, I think that's the reason why we pulled out this game today. Everybody was communicating and everybody's trusting one another.
All right, Dante, congratulations on the pro debut. We look forward to seeing you hopefully later down the road in Vegas. Kristen, back to you.
Thanks, Jared. Jared with Dante DiVincenzo. We were talking about what scientifically it takes to get a shot off, Stu.
Yeah, no, but he's right. He played a great game, even though he didn't really make a shot. It's just tremendous. So he'll be fine. He'll get some treatment, come back even stronger.
The final score, 83-75 in overtime, and we've got more Summer League action coming up.